Yogyakarta, or Jogja, as it's often lovingly called, is more than just a home to majestic temples and palaces. It's the stories and profound culture at its foundation that explain why people just keep coming back and finding reasons to stay. From history to notable tourism experiences, discover the heart and soul of Java. The Royal Complex of Yogyakarta. Still today, the Royal Palace of Yogyakarta remains at the core of traditional life. The location marks the focal point of the Sultan's entire territory, as it creates an imaginary line with Mount Merapi at its north, the Yogyakarta Monument, and the mystical South Sea. This palace is still home to the royal family, but parts of it are open for tourists. Different ceremonial rites are still carried out within its walls, some daily, others according to the traditional almanac. Even the architecture of this grand palace reflects profound symbols and philosophy of the Javanese in every little detail. At times you may spot Abdi Dalam, the loyal servants and caretaker to the kingdom, with their meticulously regulated manners and attire. The great temples of Yogyakarta. It's impossible to talk about Yogyakarta without mentioning the majestic ancient temples within or nearby its territory. Despite the Yogyakarta Sultanate being officially Muslim now, the region still testifies to the height of influence from Buddhism and Hinduism during its earliest civilizations. Bora Buddha Temple, the largest Buddhist sanctuary in the world, is unmissable proof of that episode in history. The temple complex actually falls under the region of Central Java, but Yogyakarta remains the most popular hub for temple hopping in the area. Plus, Yogyakarta and Central Java used to be one under the Mataram Empire, so the heritage tends to be very similar. The intricately designed batik cloths have become synonymous with Javanese culture and tradition. While beautiful fabrics have a practical everyday use for the Javanese people, the batik patterns reflect a long and complex Javanese history. Since early Buddhist and Hindu cultural traditions in Java, textile designs have been carefully regulated to indicate social status. Various prohibitions have been placed on design. Each new sultan who came to reign over the kingdoms of Java made rules and forbade the inhabitants from wearing particular batik designs. They also issued decrees on who in the kingdom was to wear particular designs to denote their rank in society. Guardian of Javanese culture. Preserving and cultivating their prized ancient culture is a quest taken very seriously in Yogyakarta. Both the Sultanate and the private sector are inclined to adhere to the customs and traditions that raised them. From ethnic restaurants that incorporate heritage recipes, to a village of batik makers, culture is secured on all fronts. By still carrying out the elaborate ceremonies and rituals of traditional Java, and teaching it to the younger generations, the Sultanate continues to serve as a cradle of Javanese civilization that was once dominant across the island. Alan Center is a private museum in Yogyakarta dedicated to conserving and showcasing Javanese culture. In the impressive collections of batik, relics, even photographs and letters, the museum captures memories, emotions, and visions from the city's past. With the authentic collections acquired from the Sultanate itself in grand, well-maintained buildings, this award-winning museum is also an unmissable tourism highlight of Yogyakarta. Modern Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta is a stronghold for tradition and culture. However, it still manages to strike a balance between the traditional and modern. Throughout the years, the monarchy has continued to demonstrate its readiness to adapt and embrace the best of both worlds. For example, Sri Paduka Sultan means glorious Sultan Hamengkubuwono, who ruled Yogyakarta's Sultanate from 1921 to 1939, prohibited many designs, such as the Parang Rusak, the Simanagang Sewot Garuda, the Simanagang Sewot La, and the Udan Liris. Cloths with these designs were to be used only by the royal family. He further decreed that members of the family of certain ranks were only allowed to wear cloths with particular forbidden designs. For instance, the Parang Rusak, broken knife, design, which resembles a twisted oval shape, could only be worn by those in the Yogyakarta Kraton, the court, the royal family. He also decreed that the higher the rank of the wearer, the larger the motifs in the pattern could be used, indicating social status by the size of the design. In the end of 16th century, the majority of the islands in the region of Java had adopted Islamic faith. This change strongly influenced Javanese textile designs, as Islam forbids the depiction of humans and animals. This prohibition brought about a variety of stylized and modified ornaments as symbols, such as flowers and geometric patterns, known as seplok. The seplok patterns were the way in which batik makers attempted to get around the prohibition, creating simple elements which represented animals and people in a non-realistic form. Explanations. Batik. The word is of Javanese and Indonesian origin and describes the colored fabric and process of producing patterns by using fabric dyes and wax in the creation of the design. Multicolored batik allows for the production of complex patterns, akin to paintings. Key terms. Parang Rusak, broken knife/dagger motif symbolizing power and justice. Sewot, a pair of Garuda wings with an elaborate tail. La, a single Garuda wing motif. Udan Liris, drizzle believed to represent fertility. Seplok, geometric abstract patterns typically representing petals and flowers. The traditional gudeg meal is now served in big fancy restaurants in addition to traditional warungs. Street art can be found in many corners, perhaps next to a house with ornate traditional wood carvings at its facade. And if your love of aircon doesn't allow you to shop at traditional markets, there are always shopping malls and boutiques that sell the batik of your dreams. It is unfortunate that many visitors to Indonesia do not know much about the city of Yogyakarta. With a similar sounding name, it may possibly be confused with Jakarta, the congested Indonesian capital. Whilst both these cities are located on Java, the largest island in the Indonesian archipelago, the two cities could not be more different. Jakarta is a frenetic economic and industrial hub of over 10 million, whilst Yogyakarta is a cultural and artistic center with a mere 400,000 occupants. If you're wondering what to do in Yogyakarta, don't fear. There are plenty of Yogyakarta attractions to keep you busy for several days. Yogyakarta, the official spelling, is also known as Jogjakarta or Jogja, and Yogyu, for short. It is a royal city, administered by an ancient sultanate system, that has been granted special region status, different from the rest of Indonesia. Famed for its classical arts and literature, ancient traditions and history, Yogyakarta is the cultural heart of Java. It is an important center for continuing the culture and customs of a rich, ancient past, whilst also promoting contemporary arts and a center of learning. Surrounded by ancient temples, glorious natural beauty and veiled in myth and legend, this fascinating city is sure to steal your heart. Yogyakarta has much to offer, appealing to a wide variety of tourists and easy to access, making it an ideal travel location in Java. The city produces and showcases traditional arts such as batik, silversmithing, wayang shadow puppets, as well as Javanese high culture of dance, music and literature. In fact, there are cultural performances held practically every day of the week in Jogja. The town centre is easily navigated and there are many points of interest, both within Jogja city itself and nearby, to warrant a several-day stay. Jogja is the perfect base for visiting the majestic UNESCO-listed temples of Borobudur and Prambanan. Other tourism highlights, such as Mount Merapi and the southern beaches, are also within easy reach. With its friendly locals, timeless architecture, palaces and museums, a visit to Yogyakarta will leave you wanting more. So let's get going and explore Jogja together. Things to do in Yogyakarta. The following are some of my personal recommendations of what to see in Yogyakarta. It is by no means an exhaustive list, so I would allow at least 3 or 4 days to enjoy most of the things to do in Jogja.